Hi guys, I'm back finally getting these tutorials going again. I had this really neat idea for a tumbler, and I'm going to take and add two or three different techniques into it. I'm not sure, but first what we're gonna do, get your tumbler painted and prepped. Now I'm doing the epoxy method to put my glitter on this time. And what I'm going to do is I am going to glitter the whole cup one color, and I did that in black. Let me get it mixed up here really quick. For the epoxy amount that I'm putting on this, I'm using a 20-ounce skinny, and I did on my measuring cup 2 drams. Normally I have these on my turner when I do this, but I felt like holding it in my hand today and I forgot to put it on the ball. Okay. So you get your tumbler covered really good. Heat this up really quick. When you put your epoxy on the cups, if you heat it just a little bit, like I just did with the torch, it will flow so much better. And it'll go on your tumbler a lot smoother, quicker. Make sure you get covered really, really good with epoxy. And you don't want to have any spots that are super thick with the epoxy, because if you do, you're going to have to add more glitter to that because you'll get wet spots. So you want to stretch it. The 2 drams is a little much for this, but I have pens going, so I can put another coat on my pens with what's left after I'm done this part. Get those, just get your epoxy on there nice and good. Second, I ran into an issue with a pen. It's falling off my turner there a little bit. Okay, now that I have this all epoxy, some of that epoxy off my finger, I'm going to heat it up really quick because I mix my epoxy up super thick or super fast, so I got a lot of bubbles in it. So I'm going to get some of these bubbles out of it. There we go. Real quick. One spot there. Make sure there's enough epoxy on it. Nope. Still have epoxy on my finger. Now, for this one, I'm using black. And I'm just going to cover the whole thing in black. I have this really neat idea where I'm going to take and I'm going to marble this, but I'm also going to do the matte cheetah print. hoping that it turns out super awesome. And I think it's gonna look gorgeous. Just get it glittered up real good. Make sure you don't have any spots that look wet. That means you don't have enough glitter, or you had too much epoxy there. So you're gonna have to add a little bit more glitter to it. Make sure you get your bottoms real good. This is going to look super awesome when it's done. Okay. Pat off all that extra glitter, make sure you save it. And then I will start this back up when this is ready for the flood coat, and I will show you guys how to do the flood coat with this. Okay, we are back and getting ready to do the flood coat. For the flood coat on this one, it is a 20 ounce, and I mixed up 30 mLs altogether. I am not going to use all of that on this one. I have another tumbler here that needs epoxy put on it, but get your epoxy mixed up really, really good. I like to mix mine until it's clear again. A little bit more. So, for the flood coat, you're gonna want to put this on really thick. Now, I always glide my finger along it and make sure that I can't feel the cup underneath, and that tells me that mine's going to be thick enough, so that means my next coat with this will be ready for me to start the design process that's going on it. And I won't have to worry about sanding or anything like that. Okay. That's about enough right there. Now, since I have so much extra down here when I first poured, I always push it up, and then I run my finger nice and smooth along the bottom, push it up, and right along the bottom again. And this will help you right here get a nice smooth bottom too. I wouldn't ever dump epoxy on the bottom itself. Now, when I do my bottoms, when I first start doing my flood coat, I'm not worried as much about having as much epoxy on my bottoms, because I will add other layers, which will help build up the bottom. And this way you don't get your bottom where it's lopsided. Now I'm gonna let that sit for a couple minutes, and then you're gonna wanna hit it with your torch, get a little bit of the bubbles out of there. Heating it up like this will also help level out your epoxy and get all those little micro bubbles out of there that you have. And there you go. I would let this spin for about 4 hours, and then I will show you my next step, which is going to be super awesome. Okay guys, we are back and getting ready for the next step on this tumbler, and this step is going to be the marble. So what you're going to want to do, you want to get your cup ready. I have my mica powder ready. I have 3 different colors I'm going to use, and I'm not exactly sure how all of them will show up because I have a white and a charcoal and a black, and since the cup is black, I'm not exactly sure how it's going to pan out. So what I'm going to do is I have my epoxy that I'm mixing up right now, and then I have 3 separate cups to pour other epoxy into so I can mix my micas in. Let me finish stirring this really quick. Now on this tumbler, I'm not going to put a ton of epoxy on because I don't want these colors to run too much all over the cup because of the next step that I'm going to do. So I think this should be just about perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump a little bit of this out into each of these. There should be enough there. Now I'm not putting too much in. I'm only, here I'll show you a small amount because I don't need a ton for what I'm going to do with this Milky Way part. So that's about good. Don't need too much. And what you're going to do, you're going to coat your cup. Now if you want to do like a real serious Milky Way where you're going to have it all over the cup, I would put your epoxy on a little bit thicker so when you heat your epoxy up it moves around more, kind of like you would if you were doing the alcohol inks. But with the alcohol inks, you're going to actually you're going to drop those right on the cup. Get your cup covered up nice and good. Get a good coat on there. Make sure you have it all over. And make sure when you're doing that bottom, you take the extra epoxy off the top and you put it on the bottom of your cup and you just push it up and you keep doing that. And that'll give you a nice smooth bottom. I see a lot of people are having problems with getting the bottoms nice and smooth. So that right there is an amazing trick, and it helps like you wouldn't believe. And for each coat that you put on the cup, it actually helps cover that bottom up really good and makes it nice and smooth, and you don't have the glitter's rough edge. Okay, so I got this covered good. Now I'm gonna let this spin for a minute before I heat it up and pop some of those little micro bubbles that are in it. So now what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna get my micas out. Heat that up a little bit. Got all 3 of my cups. Now, for my micas, all I'm gonna do is take my mixer and put a little bit on the thing and just dump it in. I don't measure how much mica I put in there, I just dump some in. And I'm using 3 different colors. Oh, this one's a lot prettier than I thought it was gonna be. Now make sure you use the same stick to mix each color that you use to dump it in, so you're not messing up your colors. Now, the colors that I'm using for micas are Snow Day for white, Smokestack for the charcoal, but it's more like a silverish, and then Blackjack. So you want to get those mixed up really good. Yeah, I think that's going to show up really good on there. Oops. Mix that one too fast and it's popping out. Okay, so now that I have these all mixed up, first thing I'm gonna wanna do is get your torch and you pop some of these bubbles, these tiny ones. You just wanna do it real quick. Top to bottom. Okay, now, first color I'm going to start with is the black. Now, what you want to do is take a little bit, get it on your mixer, and you want to take it. Sometimes I put it right in it. Now you can do this at an angle, you can do it straight up and down, whatever you feel you want for your design. And you want to do this with all three colors. Now with this one, I'm going to take up a wider spot doing this, because half of this tumbler we're going to do matte. We got that one done. Now I'm going to go on to the silverish charcoal color. Just dab it in there. And it's okay if you're overlapping colors and stuff too. That's enough of silver. Now let's get some of that white in there. Now, I have this little tool. I have no idea what it's called. I guess a little spatula or something. It came with something that I bought. But what I do when I get my stuff all set up, I like to go like this and just kind of move it around. Let it flow really nicely. And that charcoal and that black are showing up really good on here, better than I thought they would. I always pull a little bit down to the bottom. So you get some of the design on the bottom of the tumbler. Now, if you want to add more, you can add more. You could put as much of the Milky Way colors on there as you want. It's totally up to you. Now for our next step, once this is dry, I'm actually going to put 2 coats on top of this. Before I go on to the next step, because the last step that we're gonna do is actually going to be done on the final coat, on top of the final coat of the tumbler for the mat. Because once you do the matte design, you don't want to put anything over it because you're going to ruin the matte design and it's just going to end up being glossy again. You just keep messing with it until you're happy with how it looks. It looks so pretty. Now when this tumbler is done, I will put it on in my shop, and it will be available for purchase. I'm going to heat those colors up just a little bit to help them run some together, just right there. There you go. So I'm going to let this cure up, or not cure up, I'm going to let it dry up really good, and then when it's done drying, I'm going to add 2 coats to it to get this so it's all ready. So I want to get this, make sure you get your tumbler to the stage where it has its final coat on it, and when its final coat is on it, that's when we're going to do the matte. So I'm going to be using Barkeeper's Friend and that wool stuff. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but let me grab it, I'll show you. This is the stuff you're going to want to use, that wool. I can't remember what the full name, but it's wool. So that's what you're going to want to use for the next step on this tumbler. So get ready and make sure you have all your stuff together and final coat. Have this to the point where your final coat is, so you don't have to add any more epoxy to it. And I will see you guys back here shortly. Okay guys, we are back and getting ready to do the last finishing touches on this tumbler. Now for this step, you are going to need either your final sand, or I use the Bars Keepers, and you are going to need your leopard spots and some steel wool. I remember what it was called today. And gloves. I always put gloves on when I use this stuff just because steel wool isn't fun to play with. So with your painter's tape, I can get it off here. What you're gonna do is where your Milky Way design is on your tumbler, you're gonna cover that up because we don't want to mess up that design. So, oops. Cover that up, get a nice good seal right there. Should have used the thicker tape today, but oh well. That spot right now. Make sure you have your bottom sealed up too if you plan on doing your design on the bottom. I'm going to on this one, just so that way my whole cup has a design on it. Hopefully I'm talking loud enough for you guys today. My allergies are bothering me like really bad. I'm going to keep those little pieces of tape because it's not going to be 100% even over here, so that way it'll help just cover that up a little bit. That way, I do have a glob right there. Make sure I get all of it covered up good. Gotta keep my garbage can a little bit closer. Trying to keep my workspace from becoming a huge mess all the time. It's not easy. I'm very excited about this one. This one's gonna look so cool when it's done. And I'm not really into the cheetah print, leopard spots, whatever you want to call them. But it's gonna look cool anyways. So, some spots that still need to have a little bit of coverage. Probably don't need to put as much tape on as I did, but I like to overdo it. I'm really excited to actually be back doing tutorials. I went through a little funk and was just like, eh, didn't feel like doing anything. But I'm back, trying to work through this funk and end it. There we go. Okay. Got that on there. Make sure it's sealed really good at the edges. Cover up everything that you want covered. I do have a little bit tiny spot right there sticking out and a tiny little spot right here. So I'm sorry, tiny little spot right here sticking out. So I'm going to cover this one little bit at the bottom because that one has more of the color than up there at the top. I'll just tape it over. Now, I did my spots, excuse me, I did my spots in white. So this way it makes it easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. Now, these little devil spots, that's what I like to call them, I place them individually instead of just picking up a whole bunch at once and putting them on. So you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm trying to stay in your line of view. That's garbage. And of course I'm working with this matte vinyl, which makes it not want to stick. And everything's falling off my desk this morning. So I'm going to apply my spots where I want them. I don't want that one right there. I think I just messed that one up a little bit. It's fine. It's fine, it's fine, everything's fine. So you want to go through, add your spots where you want them. I'm going to put them on the bottom too. And I'm gonna do mine right down along the side first and then cover this whole piece just to try to make it so it looks decent. Now these ones that have that straight edge on them, I like to take and put them right up against my tape. I think it makes it look cooler. I don't know, that's just me though. You don't have to do everything the way that I do it. Be unique. devil's thoughts. I've yet to figure out why these spots are so popular, but such be life. Now, I have a whole bunch of straight ones right there, so I'm gonna pop them up against that edge. Try to get this done as fast as I can for you guys. So I'm just gonna hurry. I'm gonna hope that the kids don't need me for anything right away for school this morning. That one's a straight edge. I don't want that there. Well, that's not a straight edge, but it's close to one. Pop that one right there. I'm going to tell you, this is the first time that I've done this technique that I'm doing right here, and I'm not 100% sure how it's going to come out. Either way, I'll be posting the tutorial so you guys can see the end results. I'm hoping I'm staying in the frame really good. Keep forgetting to look up and check. Now, I don't know when you're doing these spots, if there's a preference on how people like them. Like, do they like them closer together? Do they like them more spaced out? I'm not sure. But I like to put mine really close together when I do them. So I'm hoping that with these being close together, that it doesn't make it look bad or harder to do this matte technique with them. Hopefully not. Come on there. Probably shouldn't be so worried about these being laid perfect, but I don't know. Pop that one right there. It's a little. I seem very energized today, which isn't typical for me this early in the morning. I didn't even finish my coffee yet, which is definitely not typical. But I'm very excited to see how this is actually going to turn out in the end. I always get excited when I'm doing a new design. So, for some reason lately, I just haven't been into doing any of this. I mean, I'm still working and getting things going, but just been in a funk, trying to get out of it, trying to force myself out of it. Let's put some little ones right here at the bottom, and then I'll put a couple bigger ones here on the bottom. That looks like it's filled in good enough. Do this. Just get this bottom space taken up. I think these ones right here will be enough for the bottom, these other 3 small ones. Let's see, one more small. You want one more small one? Let's do like a medium-sized one to take up that spot. Oops. Oh, that's a pain in the bum. There we go. Do that one? No, that one's not gonna fit there. Pop it right there. I don't think this one's gonna fit anywhere, is it? Nope. Oh well. Just do a little bit of one right there so it blends into the other design. Okay, now that we got that done, make sure they're on there nice and tight. Everything's good. Tape's sealed. There we go. Okay. So the next thing you're going to do, make sure you have some paper towels down because this stuff is messy. Okay, I should probably shake this up. Okay, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna dump some of this on here, smooth it out. Get it all in the spots where you want it. At your bottom. And, God, that stuff stinks. All in there really good. Now you want to take your steel wool and just go like this. Scuff it up as good as you can. Make sure you're getting that edge really good down at the bottom too. Towels, clean it up just a little bit so I can see how it's looking. Do I need more on it? Because I know the last time I used this stuff, I had to put it on here a couple of times to get that look that I was going for. Yeah. This is going to need another little bit. Oops. Don't need that much. Down here nice and good. Spread it out. Now when I do this, I push a little harder on it. It helps get that, the look that you're going for faster, instead of being real nice to it and just babying it. Let's check her again. Now it's looking like, I don't know if you guys can see how matte that is yet, but I think I'm gonna put a little bit more on because I can see some spots that are getting missed. Scrub it really, really, really good. Try going different ways with it too. Side to side, up and down. Now, if you guys have questions about anything, please put them in the comments. We do have a Facebook group. I forgot to tell you guys, if you're new here, we have a Facebook group called Mama Bears Designs, or Tumbler Tutorials by Mama Bears Designs. And in the group, we don't have a lot of people in the group yet, but I want it to be a place where you guys can come and ask as many questions as you want to, get help from each other, request tutorials on whatever you guys want to see. So please feel free to come join the group, ask questions, get help. Sometimes when I have stuff that I'm not using anymore, I de-stash it in the group. Ran out of paper towels. But please feel free to join the group. We also have a website where we post all the tumblers that we did during tutorials. You guys can purchase them. There will be a link to this one. As of right now, we are actually working on transferring our domain over to a different site that's more cheaper and more affordable. Okay, so I'm now at the point where I am ready to start peeling this off and seeing what our final results are. Very excited about this. Can't wait to see it. Get this mess out. This pick. Sadly, you guys are actually going to see this before I do because of the picture at the beginning. Oops, let's start up here instead. When you put your tape on too much, definitely not looking forward to peeling all the devil spots off of here, but hopefully I can get it done super quick. This is obviously going to have to get washed to get the rest of that tape off in certain spots. Bars Keepers doesn't like the tape. This looks super cool already. Yep, super cool. Super excited. And that'll be one spot that just needs to be scrubbed up really good. Maybe I can get it off. Okay, do over here quick. Yep, I just spread that tape like super thin when I was doing that. Oh well. Oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome. I can already see it. Let's see if we can get some of these spots off up here. In 1 minute, and I'm gonna do this faster. Okay, so I have a little bit more scrubbing to do to get that glue that's left over from the vinyl off from the spots, but here is what it's looking like so far. You can see where those glue spots are left over. But look at that. I will post a final picture at the beginning of this video so you guys can see how awesome it looks. There's a little bit right there too. But there you have it. I'll finish getting this cleaned up and that way I can get this tutorial posted. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and like our video, because every time you do that and you watch our videos, you are actually helping us make it so we can keep making these tumblers and keep making these tutorials. And there you go. Thank you guys for watching.